when a team ties a game with 50 seconds left, and then you go to overtime. Like, I think that's way worse.
On low level, nobody in the NBA is talking crap to like the greatest of all time. The meme that circles in my head is Shaquille O'Neal, and when he's like, what team is he playing for next? And he goes, the Guangdong Tigers.
If someone has everything arranged for me, I'll go. You know what I mean?
You're one of those people. Welcome to Gamblin Ramblin, a weekly show where we react and rant about the weekend that was in sports betting. I'm DiSturco, and I'm in the driver's seat today. My co-host, Tim Kalinowski, you could see by his hat that he's no longer a Boston Bruins fan, but maybe he's rooting for the Seattle Kraken. We had to address this off the rip. This is why I'm hosting. Tim, the Rangers, awful loss, but man, that 3-1 Bruins collapse has to have you feeling some type of way.
Biggest gag in Boston sports history. I mean, 07 Patriots for sure, but just the sure what fashion in which it was done. I mean, yeah, I already switched hats. I got a new hat on. I don't want to look at, I wanted to like, throw on something Bruins because we're going to talk Bruins, but I couldn't even do it. I don't want to look at any of my Bruins gear. Kind of have, like, it's allergy season, so it almost looks like I'm crying, which I guess is fitting. Yeah, I mean, brutal. The Bruins, it is one of the, I thought they were going to choke. We said it from the start, right? I said, I don't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup. I think it's going to come crashing down in some way. I didn't think it was going to look like that. I didn't think it would happen in that fashion. 2 separate leads in the third period of game 6, lose the game. Up 3-2, minute left, game 7, home ice, lose the game. Up 3-1 in the series, mind you, lose the series. Didn't think it was going to happen like that.
Would you put this on the level of, you mentioned the Patriots with the undefeated season with losing in the Super Bowl. Is this a worse collapse than that one, or no, because that was the final game and this was just the first round series of a 3-1 loss?
It's really hard because I actually give the Patriots more credit. Like they did it in the Super Bowl. Granted, they were ginormous favorites, and the fact that they had already played that Giants team and they played them tough in week 18 or week 17 back then. The fact of the whole Bruins thing is that the first round, that's what really hurts. And they were up 3-1 and they had a lead with a minute left. The collapse of the Bruins is worse. The Patriots just got flat out upset, as it would be like March Madness, like flat out upset. This was an all-time choking. They choked it away, which really hurts.
Right. It was just like, you know, when you see like this little guy boxing a bigger guy and they just like David v. Goliath just comes in and swings. That was the Patriots. This Panthers Bruins, it almost felt like you were just waiting for them to just give up these goals. Like you knew it was inevitably coming as the series went on game by game and the Panthers were making these late comebacks. At least it wasn't like the level of what the Rangers had to go through, just like quickly switching gears to the Rangers here. Because I had to watch game 7 and they couldn't even score a goal. Like at least you, I mean, listen, I don't know what's worse, watching your team not even score in a game 7 and just completely no show and look like you're a AAA team, like an AHL team compared to the Devils, or blowing these games consistently. Because at least you had something to root for throughout the season where your team looked good. The Rangers stack up and they look horrible.
I get where you're coming from there. I'll say this. The Bruins, another collapse they had. So the thing about the Bruins that they've, as good as they've been for the last decade or so, they've been very choky. They're going to go down as essentially underachievers for only one cup. I heard the comparison, like the 90s Braves. As talented as they were, they only had one World Series. That's kind of the Bruins in this thing. And when you say, the Rangers just no-showed, the Bruins game 7 home ice 2018 against St. Louis, no-show. And we sat there and watched that whole game, was like, this is over from the jump. They completely no-showed. This, I think, was so tough because having them be up 3-2, I was fully sitting there like, they're going to win the game. They're going to win the game. They're going to win the game. The way it just takes the air out of your breath when a team ties a game with 50 seconds left. and then you go to overtime. Like, I think that's way worse. Way, way worse.
Did you expect the loss after the tie?
Yeah, I did not have a good feeling about overtime at all. At all. Just because,
I feel like
again, that team is unfortunately very choky. They really will go down as a very, and I think it comes from this, like Bergeron, Chara at the time, but Marchand, Krejci, they get it. They get it. So they put so much pressure on themselves. They really get the moment. They'd almost be better off being like those dumb rookies that don't even understand the magnitude of the moment. How we say that sometimes, like a pitcher in baseball, that guy just shows up, throws BBs and gets out of there, and the guy's not even interested in baseball. Like, you'd almost rather someone like that, because you could tell they feel the pressure because they really, really care.
That's almost what it felt with the Devils. It felt like with Schmidt in goal, like they have this guy who's like in his low 20s and he's just playing out in the ice, and then Igor, Panarin, Zibanejad. I mean, these guys, Igor played great, but Artemi Panarin was a no-show for the entire week. The Mika Zibanejad had 1 goal the entire series. Like, that is embarrassing performances. Just, I think, like you said, the veterans put so much pressure on themselves in these big moments that it almost just like falls apart. But it was just brutal to watch. Like, the
Devils are too young and stupid to like know the stakes. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. Like, yeah, they're just too young and stupid, and good for them.
It's a full circle moment though, because it has to be that we have dealt with overtime losses year in, year out. Every game we lose in overtime when we bet. And of course, this time the Bruins season ends in overtime. Right over your shoulder, you got a little Bruins lampshade just to remind you that there's still the bees in this video. But now you're switching hats. We're switching gears. Kraken will be moving on. They upset the Avs the same night. And I just have to ask you, because the Rangers are out. I'm still going to watch the playoffs. When the Mets lost to the Padres in the wild card, I was depressed for a day. End up watching the rest of the playoffs. Do you bet and do you watch the playoffs? Have you watched since the Bruins lost? Have you watched any of the games?
Well, first off, I got to end on a good note with the Bruins. I did have the Panthers to win that game. I did bet the Panthers. So
in true DiSturco fashion, I did not.
So I bet the Panthers because I was hoping the Bruins would win. It's because I was even doing the emotional hedge. I was doing every time I fade the Bruins, they still win. So I was trying to reverse jinx, basically what I get. But I have the Kraken hat on, but I'm an Oilers fan now because I'm big Oilers future. And I do still watch and I do still bet, but I needed a night off. Like I had a hard time watching Colorado, and then I had a hard time watching Game 7 last night, Rangers Devils. I had it on, but I was half watching it because I was just like, I can't sit back into the same spot on the couch and like dial in again and like pretend it's okay. I can't like have my old girlfriend dump me, have a new thing, a couple weeks later, and pretend it's all the same. I just couldn't do it. Yeah,
I feel the same way. I think like the Mets losing to the Padres, it also changes, I think, based on how your team loses, right? Like the Mets losing to the Padres in the wild card last year, like they got outplayed from the jump. The Rangers got outplayed from the jump on Game 7. So it's in these do or die games where it hurts so much, it's almost like a temporary pain for me at least, so that I'm okay with, the next day or the next couple of days being able to get back into the betting and watching. I think if on your front, like the Bruins losing the way they did with a minute left and then losing in overtime after being up 3-1, that might emotionally scar me to taking off a couple of days. It's almost like when you're on such a cooler and betting and you're like, I need a day off just because it's like such a mental wherewithal. That's what I felt like you were probably going through when you texted me and were like, I didn't even say a word the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I didn't want to work. I didn't want to go to any meetings. Like, I was just, and again, I don't love the Bruins like I love Clemson. Like when Clemson loses, I like don't go to school for 2 weeks. Like that, back when I was in high school. The Bruins are not totally like that to me, but like I said, the sheer fashion in which it happened, and the having your heart, I really believe we got to believe. I think we could both agree it's way easier when your team is just a no-show, because you could start to you basically have 60 minutes of damage control in your own head and being like rationalization.
Yeah, when the Rangers played last night, I went through my head. It was the first period. I was like, okay, we're getting outplayed, but we have the power plays. Of course, we can't score, but it's tied. Then the Devils score the first goal, and I was like, okay, there's a chance. But they were getting so outplayed. And then the second goal, I was like, all right. The last like period and a half, I was mentally just already there. And I think the Mets, it was the same way last year against the Padres. Like it just like the Padres take an early lead, and I was like, we just don't look like we're here to play the game. And it sucks just watching that, because you're like, just put up some fight. Like, where's Artemi Panarin scoring a goal or having an assist? Where's Mika Zibanejad? Where's Chris Kreider? The guys that you rely on for so long. It was just so aggravating. And I do agree, like, with the Mets losing hurts me more than the Rangers losing. I would say, like, if I had to like power rate it, like I would say, and I'm curious, I'm gonna quickly fire reaction, your response. I'm gonna go through your teams and give you a scenario, and you're gonna tell me how long you would need to get back into watching sports. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So we'll start, and because this is like, you know, Tim's fandom of sports and how well he would do. So we'll start easily. You said Bruins 3-1 lead blown with a minute left, and then losing in overtime. How long did you need?
2 full days. 2 full days at least, and I'm not even that better today. I don't know if I'm ready today. At least 2 days.
Red Sox lose in the World Series, leading 3-2, lose on a walk-off in Game 7.
I can watch a day later because the Red Sox have had success.
Okay. I'd say the ALCS, not the World Series. But, and then, let's see, let me just think. All right, Patriots, say they lose after being undefeated, and say that the loss came in the first round of the playoffs. Can you watch that next week? Yeah,
absolutely. Because football's football. It's like you can't not watch the NFL, right? It's like impossible.
Okay, and then Clemson football loses in the college football semifinals on a last-second touchdown drive, last minute.
Really sucks. That's almost borderline. Can't watch the national championship. But again, you get 2 weeks. So, but I need every one of the 2 weeks. Okay,
say they move up the game and it's 1 week. Can you watch that next week?
Not sure. I didn't go to school for like a week when Clemson lost to Bama the first time with Deshaun before they avenged it the next year.
Okay. See, I'd say, just going off mine, Rangers lose like they did. I can kind of watch NHL. I might take today off, but we'll see how that goes. But I can, a day or two. The Mets, I needed a couple days, but they also got outplayed. If I had a heartbreaking loss, when I was in 2006 when the Beltran went down looking, and I was like a 9-year-old kid, I was shattered. If that happened to me now, I think I cry. When the Mets lost the World Series, I cried in the stairwell for 20 minutes. I don't think I could have watched baseball if they lost in the NLCS like they did, where I had it mentally accepted we were winning a World Series. And then the last of the big, I'm trying to think, Syracuse basketball, who cares at this point, because I hate Jim Boeheim.
NBA, our team's losing the NBA. We would watch. We'd watch later that day. That'd get me to watch.
Yeah, I watched the Knicks lose. I'm just all right, next game. And then the last one, the Jets, if they lost, it'd be true Jets fashion. So at this point, it's all right, next, football's football. I do agree. I think that for me, it's my Mets are your Clemson. So I need to mentally prepare myself to then get back into it after a few days or a week.
The wild card thing though is the NHL playoffs thing, and that it's so fun. The going on a run is so fun. That's why I felt as deflated as I did, because it gets you through to June if you're teams on a run. I had all my buddies over on Sunday, my family. It hurt so bad because it's Sunday and the game was at 6:30, so it ended at 10 something, and it's well, I'm fucking wasted right now. What do I do? We're all just sitting there looking at each other, and it was well, now I have to go to work tomorrow. Well, that's fun. Everyone's just sitting there feeling like garbage, where it's if they win, it's okay, let's dial the whole thing back up Wednesday night. What time's everyone coming over? What time we pouring beers? That's what sucks so bad. It's oh, the real world, literally, oh, back to our shitty lives. Here we go again.
Yeah, when the Mets lost to the Padres, I like it just like it's so weird because I'm with like a couple friends in their apartment, and it's like I left like halfway through the game, I think, and went to another place alone to watch the end because I knew it was over. But I was like, all right, guys, like I'm just gonna go. And like, cause like I was the only like diehard Mets fan. I was with like a couple of Mets fans, but like some of the other guys were like Phillies fans, Reds fans. I was just with a whole group of people watching the baseball game when the Mets lost to the Padres, and I was like awkwardly like, all right, guys, like time to go. Like I'm just gonna go home and like cry myself to sleep as I watch the Mets lose to the Padres. But switching gears a little bit here, we talk about the NBA and how we don't care about if our team loses or not because we don't really have like a team. We have to talk about Steph Curry, LeBron James. The saga continues. I believe this is the 5th time that they two are playing. Are you going to be watching tonight's game rather than the NHL is the question.
Not rather. I'm multi-TV household. Okay, first off, there's no either ors here.
I didn't even need another day off. All right, Tim. All right. You know, I'm trying to give you a way out.
Oh, my grieving. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I am interested. And I will say this, like about the NBA. First off, I'm a NASCAR guy, and the NASCAR race was rained out on Sunday. So getting ready for the Bruins game, which was at 6:30, I had no race at 3 to get me over that hump. So I was tuned into Kings Warriors.
You watched the National Blowout Association come to fruition.
I was easing. It was great to like have a Game 7 like appetizer that I'm like, not only do I care about the league, I don't care about either of these teams. So I was just kind of like, oh, it'll be fun later, huh? This whole Game 7 thing. But I actually am a huge fan of the whole Steph LeBron thing. I'm one of those people that say that the NBA is so much better and like sports are so much better. If your team's not in it, sports are so much better when it's the same 2 teams every year. I loved when it was Cavs Warriors and people got fatigued of it. I thought it was great because it was all time. It was like, it felt to us, I got to be like, oh, I'm having my version of Celtics Lakers.
Yeah, I felt the same way with Clemson, Alabama. And I'm sure you were like, you know, you have such mixed emotions, but as a person who had no foot in the race, like I was excited to see Alabama Clemson. I love Alabama football because I think it's more entertaining when they're in the college football playoffs every single season and they're dominating the way that they do and they have that run of success. So I am also interested in Steph LeBron. I love LeBron is the greatest of all time, in my opinion, and Steph changed the entire way that basketball has been played. So having these two together is just an entertaining aspect. And I'm like, as someone who doesn't really watch the NBA that much, like I will be invested at some capacity watching these two play. And I think that it's just like also just the storylines of how they get there, right? Steph drops 50. I can't believe no player has ever dropped 50 in a Game 7 before, and he's the first one to do it in a blowout win over the Kings. And it was, I mean, you watched it. Some of the shots that he was making was incredible.
Here's the only thing that makes me cools me off a little bit about the thing. The fact that they're playing and the way that they got there, the way they played, both teams played their regular season. I don't like how it just continues to reinforce the idea that you can completely mail in the regular season. The Warriors can basically, they could have sent their G League team to play on the road this year, and they might have had more success. And they could still find themselves in the heat of the whole thing, playing LeBron, like with basically trip to the finals on the line. I hate how it reinforces that. You know what I mean?
The Lakers did the same thing with LeBron and AD sitting out the whole time. It's a joke. That's the whole thing. Is the NBA regular season is the biggest joke and a product of entire sports world. Like you can, like you said, airmail it all. It just doesn't. It's just like, how am I supposed to, as a fan, like the NBA when at the games, you know, LeBron or AD sitting out, or Embiid's having his knee checked down, he's sitting out.
After all that, we ended up in the same place. We ended up in the exact same place we've been our whole lives, right?
Yep. Oh, it's a joke. The NBA is a joke, but at least we'll have an entertaining series here, or hopefully it's not just blowout after blowout. I don't know if you saw this today, and I want to bring this up quickly, just going off LeBron. Did you see that Dylan Brooks is not being brought back to Memphis, quote, under any circumstance, after he goes, oh, I need someone to drop 40 on me? The Lakers won by 40 points. Imagine talking shit and then getting the shit stomped out of you, because the Lakers And if Dylan Brooks doesn't talk shit, LeBron and the Lakers probably roll over and die, and Memphis rolls. But because Dylan Brooks poked the bear, because he said he pokes bears, the entire Lakers team got up, rallied behind their guy LeBron, and steamrolled the living hell out of Memphis the rest of the way.
They woke up a sleeping giant, 100%. And I'll say this, we should, not to be like, not to be like Greeny or like some ESPN soup, but we should kind of enjoy how many left of these we have. We don't know how many we have left of LeBron and Steph. And I will say, again, some tremendous memories. I mean, the greatest meme of all time, J.R. Smith with the LeBron saying, "What are you doing?" Like, has so many tremendous things have come from when these two play each other. And we should, again, not sound like a complete tool, sentimental about poor old LeBron, but we should be happy. We should really appreciate these two going after. And again, that's what you get when you wake a sleeping giant. The guy is a fucking champion at the end of the day, as much as he is a complete tool.
Yeah, I think the best part about the whole thing, and like obviously you have to be enjoying the fact that LeBron and Steph are playing together, but I just stick on the Dylan Brooks fact because I think it's so funny. I think this guy, a low level, nobody in the NBA is talking crap to like the greatest of all time, or arguably one or two or three. And the meme that circles in my head is Shaquille O'Neal, and when he's like, what team is he playing for next? And he goes, the Guangdong Tigers. Like, Dylan Brooks is heading to China. LeBron's gonna take on Steph. It's gonna be hopefully a fun series. It's also hilarious that, of course, one of these two teams is gonna end up in the semifinals, in the Western Conference Finals. That is. So let's just move on real quick. So you are not gonna be here starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll have Gino next week, of course. But I've never left the US outside of Aruba once. Why don't you tell the fans where were your head?
Yeah, so I've been to Canada like 8 times, but other than that, I have not been across the pond, and that's where I'm going. I'm going to London tomorrow morning, going for the weekend, and my buddies are huge Tottenham fans. They're huge soccer fans, football, yeah, shove it. They again, I couldn't be less interested, but they said, like, you're coming. We have like we booked this months ago. They're like, we're going to a Spurs match. You're coming, and I was like, sure, by all means. If someone has everything arranged for me, they tell me just like what flight, what hotel. Here's the link. I'll go. You know,
you're one of those people.
Yeah,
you're one of those people.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm the guy that makes the plans.
Oh, I mean, plans like that. Sometimes it's just good to be both. Like, if you came here and we were gonna do like go to some bars and then go to like Fenway and then something after, I'd be like, I'm in control. Like, I'm not having you tell me what to do.
Right.
I'm in control. But I'd love the opportunity to kind of defer and be like, okay, just tell me when and where I need to be. And I kind of like not having the pressure of the weekend's kind of on me. You know what I mean?
Right. I think it's also fun to be neither and be what we did in Cleveland, which was you just have to be at this place at this time once, but other than that, do what you want. And we ran around like chickens with our head cut off, and we're just like, all right, let's go to the game. All right, let's go to the casino. All right, let's get a drink. All right, let's go do this random dive bar and meet Stucky in a sketchy place that we've never seen with no signs.
Here's the funniest part. We had no idea when we booked this, no idea. So we're like looking at all these like tourist things to do, tours of this and that on Friday and Saturday, and we're like, why is everything booked? Like, this is so bizarre. Some are booked, some are not available. The coronation is this weekend, and if you don't know what that is, they're having a new king or queen or whatever for the first time in 70
or
years.
Whatever.
The first time in
oh my
70
goodness
years.
So are you gonna be there?
I mean, I don't know how like close I'm gonna get, but I'm like in London, and we probably, if we sold like, I wish we could like resell our hotel like you can tickets, because our hotel room, since we booked it like a year ago, is probably like worth thousands of dollars because people, it's like right in London.
You should just like go out on the street like the guys that sell
Yeah.
tickets before the games and be like,
Offer up the
hotel. Anybody got a hotel? And then they go to you. You got a room? You're like, oh yeah, resell it for double the price. Then you get your Tottenham for free. Maybe you get your tickets to England for free. See, that's what you got to do. You gotta be buy and sell.
So I will say this beforehand. I'm terrified of being in a place for the first time and looking like I am indeed in that place for the first time. So like, I don't know like soccer match etiquette. You know, I don't want to be like dumb American, you know, housing hot dogs and like having beer all over myself. Like, I don't know what the proper etiquette is. So like, I'm pretty terrified of what to do.
Just get one of those scarves that they have, the Tottenham scarves, and just hanging around, learn the song. Ask Anthony DeBundo. He's a Tottenham fan. Ask him what the people of Tottenham do.
I'm pretty sure they don't let you bring your beer to your seat.
Wait, what?
I'm pretty sure you have to drink your beer like in the concourse because these people get like too rowdy. Like you can't.
So are you ever gonna sit in your seat?
Well, no, we bought like these VIP like club seats. So I think like we're fine, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's.
So Tim, you might be the person being coronated or whatever the right word is in England. If you're in these VIP seats, you're living like a king or a queen.
If you're gonna do it one time, why not do it right?
Yeah, you might as well do it right. Yeah. Box seats, find Tim there. You can find Tim this weekend at the Tottenham game. You can follow him in the Action Network app. Maybe he's gonna bet soccer for the first time at TimmyCal12. Am I right? Yep.
T Kalinowski 12. Oh, Timmy Cal 12.
Kalinowski 12. Your Twitter is TimmyCal12. Yep. You can find me in the Action app. Sorry, I'm a little rusty. This is my first time hosting at DiSturco in the Action app. And you can find us on the Action Network YouTube channel. Tim is getting out of the country because he doesn't want to watch the NHL or the Bruins. Thank you for tuning in to Gamblin and Ramblin', and good luck with your bets this week. Let's go racing.